All right, I'll take a few minutes and fill you guys in on what happened, how I ended up on the other side. I'll try to burn through it quick so we can leave some time for question and answer session. This will all be in a book that I think will be coming out this year, but we'll see. I was a 46-year-old C-level executive, irreverent. I was a 10 on that scale, debaucherous guy, single. Had been married for a period, but when that ended, it was like, gates are open. I'm going to go nuts. Out on the town every night, trying to date as many women as I could. Not the greatest guy. The kind of guy you'd probably meet in a bar and go, I hate that guy. And I was happy to be it. I had grown up a Catholic till I was 18, but I never bought into it. I wanted nothing to do with it. In fact, I was given a New Testament Bible that I was supposed to read, and instead of reading it, I kneeled on it to create the creases so that it looked like I read it. No interest in religion, no interest in spirituality, and I used to make the joke, if God exists, I'll just meet him when I'm dead. Ha 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 ha. The divine joke. I was a 2-hour-a-day gym guy. That was my church. It was play hard at night, recover during the day, take care of the body, shakes, salads, the perfect diet, but destroyed every night. Counted every calorie, counted every gram of protein, every carbohydrate. I was vain to a level that probably would scare most people. And then one day I was working on my house that I bought in Sandpoint, working on a landscape project, and I didn't feel good. I was on a keto diet at the time, intermittent fasting. I started the day with a black cup of coffee, and I took my dog to Home Depot. I needed some supplies. And while at Home Depot in the parking lot, I was leaving, and I saw two friends who owned the local ski shop, and I just wanted to touch base with them. So as I was leaning out my window speaking with them, I felt like I was drowning. I felt something wash over me that I can only equate to being 30 feet underwater and gasping for air. And I struggled to kind of gain my balance and understand what the heck was happening. Cut the conversation short and said, I got to leave now. Being the super tough guy that I was, former semi-pro athlete, soccer player, bodybuilder, weightlifter, kickboxer, basketball player, any sport there was, I played it. Adrenaline junkie. I was like, well, yeah, I'm not going to the hospital. That's for weak people. So I went home. By the time I got home, I started feeling better and thought, oh, I'll just work on my landscape project. So I did for a couple hours. And then I thought, okay, I need some lunch now. Let's break this fast. And I went to the grocery store. As I was walking down the aisle in the grocery store, leaving, I collapsed. And when I say collapsed, I literally was awake 1 second. The next second, I'm seeing the floor like 6 inches from my face. Just enough time to put my arms up and kind of catch myself before smashing my face in. And I immediately got scared. Like that second, I was like in the deepest fear because here I am thinking I'm this super type A executive tough guy who can't have a health problem. I mean, I had an 8-pack and I was super healthy. I could run miles and miles and miles. I could do whatever I wanted. And I immediately went to stroke or heart attack. And I thought, well, it had to be pretty serious to take me down. So I jumped up off the floor with adrenaline and said, don't lay down. I figured if I laid down, it was going to get worse and I was going to die there on the spot. So I left the store. People were like stunned, like, can we help you? And I'm like, goodbye. B made a direct line for the truck, and that emergency room is only half a mile away. When I got to the emergency room, I told the nurse, who was a gentleman there, I told him exactly what happened, and he immediately brushed me off. He brushed me off because here I was walking, talking, standing, breathing, and he's like, yeah, I think you're going to be okay. I didn't like his answer, but so immediately I'm in a state of argument. They did a bunch of tests, and they only found one thing. They checked my heart, they checked my brain, they checked everything. They found one thing in my blood that said I was acidic. And the doctor blew it off because when he asked me what I've been eating, I said the keto diet. And he said, well, keto makes you acidic. Don't worry about it. You're fine. I think you had an allergic reaction. I'm like, huh? Allergic reaction? Like face plant on a grocery store floor? Allergic reaction? So they gave me fluids, antihistamines, watched me for a couple hours, and sent me home. Well, I knew something was wrong because after that fall, I never felt right again. Something was really wrong. I was now very weak. I had this constant tingling in like throughout my nervous system. Like it just, something was tingling. I noticed that my vision was getting blurry at times, and I was like, what the heck? And I had like 20/10 vision, really good vision. And over that week, I became very paranoid. I was working from home, so didn't have to worry about leaving the house, and I didn't. I literally stayed in my house for the entire week. And it was towards the end of that week that I started to feel it come on again. I was like, okay, something's wrong. I'm having shortness of breath. I'm feeling my face like is falling off. Like I'm just like half out of my body, half in it. Went back to the emergency room and I said, look, same symptoms. It's the same nurse twice. Same guy. And I said, look, same thing happened last week. And he's like, yeah, lay down. Same thing, all the same tests, all the same results. Doctor comes in, different doctor this time, and I said, look, this is not an allergic reaction. I've had an allergic reaction before. This is not it. And he said, you're just a hard case to diagnose. And I was like, don't like you. And he said, revisit your general practitioner, your family doctor. And I thought, okay. So I leave the emergency room the second time in a week, and I immediately fall off the health cliff. Within 24 hours, I was so sick, I could barely move. Vision was, I couldn't see more than 15 feet. Everything would just go blurry. Hair was starting to fall out. My skin was changing colors. I couldn't eat food anymore. I couldn't get up off the couch. I could barely walk to the back of my house, a single-floor house, to let my dog out. And what I thought was I picked up COVID. I said, oh, this thing is serious. It's really kicking my butt. I couldn't control my body's temperature, so it's 75 degrees outside, and I was in sweatshirt and sweatpants and heavy socks with the heat on in the house. But every time I took my temperature, it came back at the same exact temperature, 97.1, 97.1, 97.1. I was monitoring my own blood pressure because being that healthy guy that tracked everything, I also tracked that. So I was using the cuff several times a day, and I would notice that my blood pressure kept dropping. I'm thinking, oh my God, like this is getting serious. So I called to make a doctor appointment for my dropping blood pressure as well as all the symptoms I was having. And the earliest they could get me in was the following week. So I said, I'm just going to have to suck it up and deal with whatever this is. So I started sleeping with the phone on 911 pre-dialed. I lived alone with my dog. And I figured, well, if I collapse again, I can just push the button, and I was sleeping with the doors unlocked so the ambulance people could get in, EMTs. And I figured I'll just push that button if this goes south. They'll be there in under 5 minutes because I'm so close to the hospital. I figured that'll give me the best chance. So that week, I lost 7 or 8 pounds, maybe 10. A lot of my hair had fallen out. My skin had turned through different periods completely gray to like reddish, like I was having an allergic reaction, to white, till the last night. The last night, it was completely yellow. My skin turned yellow, really like banana yellow. And the funny thing is, I was so out of it at the time, or just didn't care, that it didn't make me feel any worse. I already felt so awful that I was like, you know what, if it's still there tomorrow, I'll call. It didn't affect me either way. At that point, I was so tired. And that night I went to sleep early. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. And when I woke up, I had been sleeping with the phone in the hoodie pocket. I pulled it out, and there it is, 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, good God, why am I awake? I'd been sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day at this point. And I thought, well, I'm up. I'll just go use the bathroom. Well, I tried to roll out of bed, put the phone back in my pocket. Tried to roll out of bed, and when I did, I fell into the wall next to my bed. And I thought, uh-oh, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. And it was about that time that I'll say, if your reality, the view that you have right now, was on a piece of cardboard, everything you could see, just one big rectangular cardboard, it was like somebody took the piece of cardboard and just went, was like moving it around. Not like too much to drink, dizzy drunk, but like literally moving your existence around. So I started using my hands against the wall to get to my bedroom door frame. I imagine there's about 12 steps between my bed and the bathroom that I was trying to get to. And I started using my hands against the hallway outside of my bedroom door. And I realized by about the third step that I was dragging my right leg. My right leg wasn't even working. I hadn't even realized it. I couldn't feel it. And it's just like limp behind me. And I finally made it. And even in that moment, something had already happened where the alarm, that internal alarm, like something's wrong, started to get quieter and quieter. It was like slowly being pulled away. I'm watching my leg drag behind me. I'm using the walls to hold myself up, trying to get to the bathroom to pee. And that should have been the point of the 911 call, like something is desperately wrong. But so much of it had been pulled back that it was just like, well, I'm going to keep going. Like, who cares? So I made it to the bathroom, and I had been sleeping with the light on in the bathroom, and I could see the sink about 6-7 feet away. And I thought to myself, well, how am I going to get to the sink to prop myself up? And I just kind of fell into it. I kind of like hobbled in a little bit and fell towards the sink. And when I caught the sink, my hands were exposed. And when I saw my hands like closely in the light, they were gray, like a gray, like the backs of these chairs, just completely gray and void of all life. The skin was literally just draped on my bones at that point, like a corpse. And I knew what a corpse looked like because one time in high school, I had to actually help dress one in a funeral home. It doesn't leave you. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, immediately the first thought that hit my intellect was like, oh man, I'm hallucinating. I must be like really messed up. Well, when I looked up after looking at my hands and I saw my face in the mirror, I realized I was not hallucinating. My skin had sunk in, all the fluid in my face, basically my body, from what I understand from an EMT friend, is my fluid had leaked into my cavity. And my face was hanging there, completely gray, no color, none, zero. My eyes were sunken in. And there's something that happens, and there's something that you're all programmed to do, and someday you'll experience it, but you know when you're going to die. You'll be in a home somewhere, you'll be hopefully at home in bed and comfortable with your family around you. But there will be a moment when something clicks and your body just knows this is the process. The process has already started. You just know. And the best part of that process is once that clicks in, there's an immediate realization. There's no longing, fighting, struggling, wanting to live another second. There's just the realization that you're about to go through this process. And it's something you've already done, so it doesn't even really seem that foreign. But in my case, it had removed every concern that I had ever had. There was no concern for my dog, who I loved dearly, who was in the next room. There was no concern for my parents, who are elderly, and like I was never going to be able to explain what's happened. There was no concern about, well, I'm too young to die. There is literally no concern. It's the most peaceful, graceful feeling that will happen when it's your time to go. And in that last look, I saw myself in the mirror. I have now understood that I'm about to pass. I'm now in this state of complete acceptance, and you're just going through it. And there's a freedom in it before you go. It's the freedom that I walk around with now. There's no more me. There's no more hanging on to anything. There's no more attachment. There's no why. And that was it. The next part I like to call a long blink. I don't know how long that blink was because there's no time. It doesn't register. Some of us from the NDE studies, we see that tunnel of light that is famous on TV. But that's only like 40 to 50% of us. there are large groups of us who see darkness. But when I say darkness, you will think of it in a cold way. You will think of it in a scary way. You don't know what's in the darkness. But I will tell you that that darkness is the equivalent of being swaddled as a baby, wrapped up in a blanket and pressed against the shoulder of a loved one. It is the most loving, velvety, silky, all-encompassing, warm feeling that I can't really describe. In that darkness, I felt like I was moving, but there was nothing that gave me the image that I was moving. There was nothing there to dictate time, space, or anything moving by me, but I just had the feeling that I was moving. And then the next thing I know, I open from that long blink, and I'm standing in my version of a welcome, which as experiencers, we all experience the thing that welcomes us the most. So what you believe here will welcome you on the other side. So be careful what your beliefs are. But for me, it was nature, and I experienced what I would call something that looked like the Scottish Highlands or Ireland. It was grass that was all the same length, gray rocks kind of jutting out, and rolling hills. No trees, no bushes, nothing. It looked like a place where sheep would graze. But it was alive, and it was all light, and light that I can't describe, light like you've never seen, light like you've never experienced. Even when I see orbs of light in the sky, which is a completely different light than all other light in material reality, it was even greater than that. And it was in this moment of opening my eyes that I realized I didn't have eyes. I didn't have a body. I didn't have the human part of me. I didn't have weight, but I felt like I was upright. And immediately I could see 360 degrees. I could see the hills behind me. I could see the grass behind me. But when I use the word see to explain this to you, it wasn't seeing as much as it was feeling. Seeing and feeling were one. We use sight different than feel, but their senses are combined in a way I can't quite describe. The strange part is that seeing 360 degrees and standing in this place of loving light feels so normal that you won't know you've passed. All of us in the experiences have to be told we've passed, because that's the real side. This is the illusion. So you don't remember any part of your death. You don't remember, oh, I had just died and here I am. It feels normal to feel weightless, to feel knowing, to feel the light come out from everything in the environment, and it feels like unconditional love in a way I can't quite describe, and that feels normal. And after, if I was to use human time, I would say a minute, I moved just a little bit. And when I moved, another hill started to take shape like out of this mist. And there was, I'd say it was about as high as this ceiling. And about halfway up, there was a big gray rock that came out of it. And as this started to come into shape to my right, I could see there was a guy sitting on the end of the rock with his arms crossed like this, his hands crossed, his elbows on his knees, and just dangling his legs, looking around like he was waiting for me. He's dressed as a hiker. Just a hiker in the Scottish Highlands. Nothing to say angel wings or anything like that, but I will say this hiker had brown hair, brown eyes, about 33 years old, has a name, has an identity. But I don't use it because it will limit your understanding of why you're here to break identity. But in that moment I saw him, I received something that I call a 3-hour like exercise ball or beach ball of information. It was instantaneous. If I had eyes, I would have made eye contact with him, but I'll just say when I faced him, immediately understood that I had passed, immediately understood where I was, immediately understood I was welcomed, immediately understood that everything here is love, it's part of the welcome, immediately understood I was fine and everything was beautiful and great. It's kind of like it's given to you in this way to shake all the amnesia off of you. And you're not in a place where you go, what do you mean I'm dead? That intellect doesn't make the trip. There's no longing for anything. You're completely at peace on a scale that I can't quite describe. It's a freedom that feels like unconditional love and light and all these human words that honestly don't even begin to describe 1/10 of 1% of it. And in that moment, that being jumped off the rock and walked down towards me like any other person would. But as he approached me, I realized he wasn't human. He wasn't just some guy. He was a being. And when I experienced this being and recognized parts of him, I couldn't quite place him. I couldn't give him a name. I couldn't place him. It was like there was this amnesia piece blocking me from his true identity. And he felt that on me and immediately gave me another telepathic message when he was about 3 feet from me. And I'm looking him right in his eyes. And he just kind of turned to me, and with the booming of the most thunder, if you combined all the thunder of the world that would echo all of eternity, he just looked at me and said, "I am you and you are me." And in that understanding, you start to realize that there's no such thing as separation. You're never separated. You think you are, but you're not. And from that moment, he proceeded to show me several existences, some of them famous. And the part that comes from that is you will recognize all your other existences when you die, but they don't hold the weight that you think they do. You know, if I told you you were Elvis, you'd walk around and say, "I was Elvis, dude, that was great." And it means nothing, literally nothing. People worry so much about past lives, and it's irrelevant here. It's more relevant there. From that point, we went into the life review, which only 20 to 40% of us have. It's not across the board. Not everybody has a life review. It's a tool. And I experienced all the nitty-gritty with that being, that eternal being right next to me. And instead of judging me in the worst days of my existence, doing the worst things to people, he loved me through it unconditionally. And coming out of the life review, you understand that there's no judgment here. And we spend our entire lives judging everything, not even realizing it. You don't even realize how slippery the judgment is until you experience something like that. To even say that you are something is to judge somebody else as something else. So it's your own identities of what you think reality is. When you carry this judgment around, you're not in the space of love. You may think you are loving somebody else, but honestly, you're still carrying judgment. I think that's part of the reason I'm here, is to wake people up to some of this stuff. But out of the life review, at the end of it, coming out of it, you now have an understanding of how existence operates to a point, but you don't understand what existence is. And it was then that this being gave me a choice. Stay here with me or return and share information. Okay. Well, it was like a divine joke, because coming out of that experience, you understand your connection to all others everywhere. You understand there's no separation and everybody's suffering. Of course you come back. So I chose to come back. In that second of choice, call it, there's no time there. Time does not register. There's no seconds. Everything is immediate. My life review, you could take 46 years and it was instant, but it was drawn out like 100,000 years. Time just isn't what we think it is. When I said yes, I would return, then I was taken to some place and I was given information for eternity. It felt like eternity. It was, the landscape changed back into, the reason why I use a formless divinity is because the landscape was a welcoming hug. It wasn't a landscape. It turned back into formless divinity. It just took the shape as a landscape to welcome me. Just like everything here is taking the shape for your existence. When I received that information in this void, in this place where all shape or where all form comes from, it was about everything. Literally everything. I can't even, like, people ask me, like, well, can you talk about some of the things? Like, you have to ask a question for me to pull it up. It's infinite. It felt infinite. And it only stopped when this light kind of appeared and it started to grow. It was like somebody hit pause on a video game. Everything just kind of stopped, like stillness, except for this being, this light. It just kept expanding, expanding, expanding. It's swallowing everything. It was swallowing this void. It's swallowing the being that's showing me this information. It started to swallow me. And the last thing that I experienced was this light had swallowed everything, and I was the light. I was integrated with this light, except it wasn't a light. You can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it the universe. All of them are crap. They don't begin to describe what it is. Imagine something so big, so powerful, and so loving that it knows what every blade of grass on the earth since the beginning of all creation, how much every blade grew up to that point. Imagine it knows every time the wind blows how much a particular blade anywhere on this planet moves, if it moves that much. It knows everything, and it knows all the stuff you don't know. All realities, all existence, all possibilities, and it loves you. It looks at you as the only thing in the universe. It's a love I can't describe. It's a love that I understood why I was shown it and why I experienced it, because it's to remind all of you that you are doing this for a reason. You're doing this to get back to that. Not to achieve something, not to gain more understanding or reach enlightenment. You're trying to make it back to that. If I was to write a manual based on the information that I received, it would be a 3,000-page book, and only one page would have something on it right in the middle of the book. Just blank, 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 till you got to the middle, and in the middle it would say, this is a spiritual progression. Unless you realize you're progressing or not, you're unaware, and reality won't be what you think it is. So I ended up dying, found out afterwards, after many doctor visits after I returned. Was stage 3 sepsis, brought on by a gallstone, caught in a duct that I couldn't feel because I have a DNA mutation to the sensitivity of pain. So when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. If you write it out, I had 2 ER visits, 4 doctors who missed it, not on a diet that would ever cause a gallstone, nor ever had one. I just thought I was a real badass, pain, what's pain? Haha. And then find out all of these things after the fact. So when it's your time to go, it's really your time to go. There's nothing you can do about it. It's in the stars, so to speak. So it took me a year to recover enough. I was told some things on the other side. I was told that my recovery would be difficult. I was told that I will be persecuted for the words, which happens every now and then. I was told that some of this information that I've been given will open up only at appropriate times. That's happened. That I was strong and loved, and this is your journey now. This is what you're here to do. It wasn't something that was necessarily bestowed on me. It's something that was planned. After coming back, I came back with all the clairs. Clairvoyance, claircognizance. I get smell it, see it, eat it, hear it, visions, psychic powers, everything, literally across the board. I can speak, I've done mediumship, I can speak with those who have passed. I took part in another research study outside the 2 bigger ones with the French professor out of Beijing, and in that study, I tested out of the top 600 as the most profound experience. Like I'm giving you the Cliff Notes. But I'm just here, I could say as a servant, but then I know I'd be saying I'm another identity. I'm just conscious that I'm serving. No different than you. I'm just conscious of it. So my life reflects it. I live with this information. I share it. I don't charge. There can be no... After experiencing what I've experienced and being face to face with this and then being integrated with this ultimate being and receiving this information, which I hold as sacred, I could never gatekeep it. I could never be like, well, pay me or buy my course and I'll give it to you. It's like I come back and I know that there are plenty of other quote unquote gurus out there who are happy to sell a course and a book and everything else. And I will write a book. It's done. I'll write another one. But I'm not here to take. I'm only here to give. I was given a very clear message on the other side. Just to receive. Take nothing for yourself. Receive what you are given. Take nothing for yourself. Which is also another divine joke because I no longer have a self to take for. So you don't need a near-death experience to get where I am. It's a choice. I don't get to live a rich existence anymore. I don't get to go to bars or restaurants. I'll never go to a movie again or a show. I have to be careful what music I listen to. I try to avoid all the news. I have to seek solitude most of the time just to digest the constant influx of information coming to me. You know, there's not going to be marriage and 3 kids. There's not going to be much of anything other than giving. And I am completely 100% on board with it because it's so much better than what the existence was before, which was just taking. So that's the Cliff Notes. I'm a dead guy. You're here with a zombie. You can reach me on my website anytime, jonathanashford.com. I will answer your questions until you stop having them. I will Zoom call with you anytime. And I am around the world now. I do not seek fame, although it may find me. But I will always make time. Always. Because if just one of you wakes up, it affects the world. So thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. So we'll have some time for questions. Rocky, are you here? You were going to help with the mic. I've got one question. I was going to start. The previous interview, one of the things that it brought up for me was this question about like astrology, and we're on the solstice tonight, and there does seem to be this kind of undeniable, like not created reality when people sort of kind of investigate it. It's like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that energy was happening, but it really makes sense. So, but part of what you said was a little bit like, oh, that's not actually a thing. It's just the formlessness taking form. Or so I guess I'm just a little curious about how that's a tool or how that works.
You hit it right on the head. It's a tool. We have many tools here. Basically, everything's a tool. You could take religion. You could take your identity of Jesus, which having been with him and met him 3 times now, the identity that you carry is not him. What he represents is very true. Love. That is very true on a scale that just having an experience with him is soul changing because of the love. But when we identify things here, like you can get to spiritual understanding through astrology. You can get to it through Christianity. You can get through Judaism. It doesn't matter. There are many stepping stones to it. But you are none of those things, and none of those things exist on the other side. None of it. The reason why is because they're all defined through the human intellect. Like, I experienced a part in the void where I was with the stars, but not the stars we look up and see. Stars as big as this room here are right next to you, breathing and alive. And you realize that they were never stars, they were beings themselves, just like you. And then you realize the darkness between the stars is fluid and moving and just as alive as you. And you realize to name any of it is to deny what it actually is. So it's not whether any of this stuff exists or not. It's whether you recognize them as the tools that are getting you closer to understanding what you really are. If you want to go be a shaman, be a shaman. You want to go do yoga, do yoga. You want to go do the astrology, do it. But do it from the point of view where you don't take on the identity of it. You use it as the tool that's opening up your understanding. I think that's the part many people miss. They take it as the identity. And honestly, you've just put more stuff into grocery bags that you're going to have to put down before you go. These are the things that stack up in our bags and why we come back. So you may be into astrology and feel it and get to this spiritual place, which is just love. And someone else may do astrology and they may lean on it so hard that they never develop any awareness whatsoever. They look for the reason from the stars rather than use the stars to work with them in their own awareness. That's the challenge. The only time you can recognize the difference between the two is to become aware.
Raise your hand if you have a question. Right here. Was it? Wait, sorry.
Can you name the top 3 special gifts that you came back with?
Well, that's a tough one. Well, here's an example. So in a span of 4 or 5 months, I came back with a gift that told me that there were going to be wildfires, that there was going to be an earthquake off the coast of Thailand, and that a village was going to be swallowed in an avalanche in Switzerland. All 3 came true. You would say that's really powerful to know, and that's a great power, and I say it serves no purpose other than to give me validation that I'm sitting in the right seat to have that information. It's not like I can pick up the phone and call Switzerland and be like, hey, watch out. I would say there's not 3, there's only 1. And the one gift that I have seen be used through me is that gift when somebody is open and they're sitting in that space of reception, they see me change in a way that allows them to feel love that they've never felt before. Some have seen my eyes glow. Some have seen me change into another being. Some have seen just glowing all around me and everywhere. And I say, well, it's not me. That's you. That's the most important gift. The being able to know what's going to happen tomorrow in some instances, that's not super useful because there's a point of me that knows not to meddle. If I use this example and it's going to sound morbid, but if you had the abilities that I had and you had a son and you received information that your son is going to pass in a car accident tomorrow, when it was his time to go, would you hand him the keys or would you hide them? So I'm sitting in the seat knowing that his passing has to happen to affect somebody else positively because everything is determined and it's a gift. Inserting myself to stop it is now the ego trying to take charge. And I get those kinds of messages. I get messages about loved ones dying, messages about great friends taking their lives, all kinds of stuff. But I know I can't meddle. Sometimes I see them as just tests, just to see where I am. Because some of it really serves no purpose other than to let me know I have it. So sometimes instead of looking for a message, you have to understand the message is the message. I get to see this. Okay, I'm still sitting in the right seat. Anything beyond that, I don't really use except for the person who needs it when I'm talking to them. I was told something very clear, like using this for your own benefit is an absolute no. Like, hard no. Like, a plane's going to fall out of the sky and land on your head if you do. So I don't think about it. What comes to me as it's needed for somebody else. It doesn't come to me for me. I receive no information that benefits me. I get that. I'm just moved around. Like, I'm a piece on a chessboard that gets moved.
You've already received all that.
Yeah. So I don't need anything. I have no need I have no questions. Like, people are like, isn't it amazing? Like, you can ask anything. You're in direct contact with it all the time. And I'm like, I don't have anything to ask. I know if it's going to be given to me, it's going to be given to me. I am in the complete state of surrender. I do nothing but move where it wants me. That's something I'm grateful for. Every day, there are periods throughout my day I say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to help another. Because when they open, I feel that direct connection to that being I was integrated with on the other side. It's the most amazing experience for me. For them too. They're getting bliss. They're like, oh my God, I'm feeling like amazing. But that's my reward. Nothing else here gives me a reward. You could hand me a winning lottery ticket right now and I'd be like, great. Opening one of you up to that loving space, I would take that over all the winning lottery tickets till the end of time. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Oh, yes, over here. Given the way you sort of described yourself before this all happened, do you have any insight into why you had this experience and other people don't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In my life review, I was shown all the periods when I was tapped on the shoulder to like, hey, wake up to something. And I denied all of them, which was also part of the plan. And I would just say that when it comes to people who come back with an experience like mine, which there are very, very few, it doesn't pick spiritual people. It doesn't pick religious people. I like to make the joke that it just pulled another degenerate off the street. So it removed me from a place of being able to affect anybody else negatively. But I also, because of that life, have the full spectrum to what you would call demonic behavior to angelic behavior. I can sit with anybody, anywhere, over any circumstance, and just understand. I still have the feeling of, I don't have the memory of it so much, but I have some of the feeling of what it felt like to be insatiable. Whether that was money, booze, women, it didn't matter. I still understand that. And it's like a psychic ability to sit with somebody and feel that feeling in them. Sometimes that insatiable feeling is for knowledge. I can feel when somebody's sitting across from me and they just want to know. So there was a reason it was planned. It was shown to me that it was planned. Everything is planned on a scale that you won't quite believe, but I'll just say it's like 1 trillion dominoes lined up, all to fall. All these white dominoes are just falling. And no matter what we think at any given time about any one of those dominoes, it doesn't matter, it's still going. So beyond that, I haven't been given any information other than some identity stuff, which will come out in the next few months, and some information about this change, which will come out in the next few months. But not much more of the why it happened the way it happened. I just know that it did, and I experienced what I needed to be able to do this.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Earlier, when you were talking about just us as individuals opening ourselves up to this life.
More? Yes.
Yes, more of why we really are here. But something that you said was about getting to a place of silence and stillness.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that happen with,
All right, I'll give you a little exercise.
okay,
I like to joke that everybody carries their own happy pills without realizing it. And my understanding of time and distance are there are no such thing. So if you can, oftentimes I use sunrise or sunset. If you've ever been somewhere, let's say hypothetically you were on a beach, maybe late at night when the sun was going down and you're by yourself. And in that moment, as you were walking on this beach, you stopped to look at the sun as it slowly went down. And you felt as though you were the only one seeing that sun drop. And you were experiencing the sun not as the sun, but as the warmth of it, the beauty of nature, the beauty of your surroundings, the peace that you felt in watching that sun. And in that moment, you feel a sense of calmness that the sun triggered something in you to allow you to feel it. And what I like to remind people is you weren't you watching the sun. You were the feeling of watching the sun. You weren't your name saying, I am me watching a sunset. So you're literally 100% in the experience of that beauty. And I like to tell people, shut your eyes. First, find Walmart, Christmas Eve. Go into the checkout line. Shut your eyes and take one big breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and in that moment, be in that same feeling of watching that sunset on that beach. That's one pill. How many do you need? 10, 15, one every 5 minutes? There's no such thing as time and distance. When you realize that we're here to feel, not quantify, you'll understand that true feeling, the genuine feeling, not the intellect that says, well, I want to remember what it was like at the sunset. To genuinely feel it means you are there. The part of you that felt it is there. It's the part of you that continues on. You could argue and say, yeah, but I'm not there. I'm in a Walmart shopping line. And I would say, exactly, you were not on the beach either. You're just the feeling. So it's recognizing you can have it any time. Stillness it's a practice, yes, and it's a muscle you can work at, but it's also a feeling that lives within you. It's like if you bought a car that you've always wanted and you buy it today and you're in your driveway and you're like, yeah, I got the car. Do you think it was the car that gave you the feeling? Or was the feeling about the car always in you and you just surrendered enough to let it out? The feeling doesn't exist without you. It doesn't need a trigger. The intellect is what needs the trigger. The intellect needs to be occupied with something so that the real you can come forward. That's all you're doing. One pill. Take as many as you need. You need 150 in a row? Go for it. But I tell people to recognize beauty in nature, because as I understand nature in my experience, it is literally like plugging into the wall. If you can experience beauty in nature, whether that be an animal or just a walk or something, remember what it felt like in that moment. Don't remember the walk. Remember what you witnessed and felt. Put that in your pocket, then go to Walmart. That's stillness. You can find it whenever you want. You've already felt it 1,000,000 times. You just weren't aware enough of it to say, oh, that was it. Now you'll find it because you're aware.
Okay, I'm trying to put this into words, but this new awareness that you have and this ability to maybe be aware of all that you have powers of, or just, I'm intrigued to know that this sickness, that took over your body, and now that you're back in your body, how that talks to you differently now. And if you can feel more into the illness or the disease that might be consuming your body, and still know that the mindset is still there, right? We're still accepting of everything that's happening, but did you have any new awarenesses of what was happening in the body and how to sit with them when those things or a pain arises in your body?
Yes and no. It started with when I returned, and I was an invalid for a good 6 months. I couldn't eat solid food. I couldn't walk, couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. It was 2 week. I lost 40 pounds. They didn't figure it out right away, what had caused this. So they were testing me for everything under the sun, cancer, AIDS, like literally MS, anything. And it wasn't until I got some imagery that they started to recognize the organ damage and things that had happened. And this whole time, I'm sitting in this space of detachment. I had no attachment to healthiness, no attachment to, well, I just want to go skiing again. Like there was no self that saw an outcome. It was kind of like, all right, I know you've given me all this to do something with. Are you going to let me do it? And it was a year of understanding that as my recovery progressed, it was directly in line with how my powers progressed. If I had come back that morning I was getting psychic messages. I was getting everything that I get now, but on a really small scale. If I had come back that morning and then like, boom, hey, there's going to be this massive wildfire in 3 days, I would have been like, what the hell is going on? So it was like a slow volume turn up over a year. And I knew within a month that my illness was no longer for me. It was for everyone that I came into contact with. So as I started to break out of things and meet people, they would immediately, as they turned to love, be like, hey, I'm a cranial sacral person. Let me help you. Hey, I've got some lasers you might want. Like everybody started to tune into my illness, and it put them in a position to receive. So I knew that my illness was never an illness. It was a gift for everybody. I was just along for the ride. Like, hey, all right, when are you going to heal me? I would just get the message. It would say, you will be healed.
Your illness tapped others into what they could help you with, or their power or their joy.
I was just in that place going, okay, I will be healed. I don't know if that's tomorrow or if that's 10 years from now, but yay, I'm going to be healed. So I still struggle physically with things. I still can't eat normally. I mean, what you would call normal, and that's okay. I don't have desire that says I would really love a piece of pizza again. But for me, it's no longer about eating. There's no part of me that says, well, pizza's really good and cold oatmeal's really bad, so I'm going to keep seeking the high. I am just, I'm flatlined. I'm dead. I'm just flatlined in this period of acceptance, surrender, and bliss. It does not matter what I get to eat. Are you kidding me? Like, I get another breath. Whoa, I get another? Whoa, how much gratitude could you have when you realize you get to keep breathing? Trust me, you miss one, you're done. So it's really about perspective on your existence. It's like, I like to remind people, you got a pair of shoes once as a little kid. You've had shoes probably every day since and never think about them. Like you're not walking in slush outside or rain or cold weather because you have shoes. And it's only when you stop to go, oh my God, shoes are a gift. Wait, clothes are a gift. Wait, fork is a gift. Oh, wait, the metal in the fork is a gift. The machine that made the fork is a gift. Like the guy who created a fork is a gift. Like everything's a gift. Then perspective turns into you are just being handed. Here's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one. How grateful can you be today? Are you grateful for the gas you have in your car? You grateful for the guy or girl who invented a nozzle that allowed the gas to go in the car? Like there's infinite things that you can be grateful for that we just pretend like don't exist.
You mentioned the dominoes, and we wouldn't believe what goes on. I'd like to hear more about that. And the preordained, could you talk about that? Because sometimes it's like, oh no, you were supposed to die, and then you were supposed to, just, could you comment about that?
Yeah,
please?
we'll start with the Domino's because I talked about pizza and Domino's pizza. But yeah, it's understanding that some of you will accept this and some of you'll push back against this. But there's an understanding that you come back with that your life is not being lived real time. You are actually participating in the movie that was already recorded. It's hard to explain, but imagine this. You are the only one in a movie theater. You're in this room alone, and there's a big screen here, and you're watching this movie, and it's your life. And you've got your popcorn, and every time this person goes to make a decision you don't like, you start screaming at the screen, "Don't go into the basement!" Then this person goes into the basement anyway, and bad things happen, and you're like, this movie sucks. You know, I don't like this movie. That's your existence. It's not lived in real time. The awareness happens when you realize, oh, I'm just experiencing this crazy movie. I'm going to enjoy it. Go into the basement. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Have the horrible relationship. Oh, this is going to get good. I wonder what this ending is like. Right? Instead, we think our lives are being lived real time, and those dominoes are already lined up and already falling. You can be angry about a domino that fell 500 back and say, I need that fixed because I'm going to carry this trauma until I really resolve that domino. And meanwhile, it's way out there going, okay, that's your free will. Carry the baggage if you'd like. So life is kind of preordained in a sense that I understood it as train tracks. And we're in a passenger car, and you're a little kid, you're like 3 years old, and then dad comes in and hands you that plastic Fisher-Price steering wheel and says, okay, now sit there and steer the train. And you're like, yeah, look, Dad, I'm steering the train. And mom and dad are like, good, steer the train. And it's on tracks. You can't steer anything. But I do know how strong of a power that free will is. Free will as in wake up or stay asleep. When you wake up, this thing goes, oh, perfect. Let me put you on the different tracks. Let me put you on the good tracks. Right? It's like if you came down here to experience cancer at 70, but you wake up at 30, do you think you're going to get the cancer at 70? Do you think you need the lesson? You get to experience everything here is to shake you out of what you think you are to get you to awakened states. Everything. Literally everything. Sometimes I use it as a ladder. Everybody climbs, like you have an aluminum ladder, you get 10 rungs, and you climb up 5, and you're like, this is perfect. I love this view. I'm just going to stay here. And then that benevolent being comes in with the lighter and puts it under your foot until you move. Most people don't move. So then he takes out the flamethrower. This will get him to move, right? Here comes the loss of a job, the significant other, the cancer, here comes the pain. So it's your free will is knowing that this is a progression and I'm moving in that direction. And when it sees you do that, it plays the game with you. It doesn't fight. You're swimming in line with what it wants. That's when you start to receive. You're just on the tracks. Most of us are trying to reverse the train. I see that. I don't like it. No, brake, reverse. Right? I like to say that everything here is a piece of paper with a message written on it from the divine. It's folded in half. Everything. Nobody opens up the paper to read the message. We see the paper and go, nope. We see it in people. We see it in circumstances. We see it in all parts of our lives, and we never open up the paper. Everything here is a communication medium. Nothing here is random. Nothing. I mean, I was shown that if a bird flies up into the air and it flaps 4 times instead of 5, has meaning. Nothing is random. It flapped 4 because some hurricane somewhere else is going to start 10 years from now. All the dominoes have to fall for everything to continue. But in order for the dominoes to fall, you have to participate, which is why you're loved unconditionally and not judged when you die, because you're participating in a really wild game. really wild. So the best you can do is just love yourself through it. Love everybody. Look, everybody, whoever does anything, you go out and steal a car, you do whatever, like, love yourself, and whoever you see steal the car, love them. Don't be like, well, that guy deserves... No. That guy deserves love. Because that's what he's going to get on the other side if he crashes in the car and dies right then. So all you can do is come back to that state of love and acceptance, or not. And you'll recycle back in here many times. It just is. We're just here to experience. It's not an achievement. It's not an accomplishment. It's like when people say, well, I want to solve this, or I want to fix, like, I want to solve world problems or fix something. And I'm like, you're taking away with your own intellect. You're trying to take away what somebody's supposed to experience, which benefits the whole. You're trying to imprint your own free will onto somebody else. Everybody's here just to do what they're doing where they are. You want to sacrifice chickens as your spiritual thing for the rest of your life? Go for it. You want to be on knees in church for the rest of your life? Go for it. You want to be an atheist? Go for it, but be a loving one. Right? Just experience from awareness. That's all. As far as me being picked for this, I can't really completely explain it, other than I've been shown some other versions of my existence that make it make sense in a better way. That's all I'll say about that.
A ton.
I just didn't want to be a hog.
You're judging yourself.
What can you talk about, if anything, with regards to suicide?
Ooh, that's a big one, but I'll just tell you this. What was the question? Suicide. So here's how every one of us that's a near-death experiencer comes back with an automatic teaching about suicide. It's not like we're shown this, but we all come back knowing it. And there are a lot of near-death experiencers who come back in a really bad place. They don't come back with the full circle experience that I had, and they can't position it against reality. They struggle with drugs and alcohol and suicidal thoughts, and a lot of people just struggle. And I'll just say, my knowing of suicide is this. Imagine it's a football game. It's the biggest game in the world. It's a Super Bowl or something, and there's 10 seconds left on the clock, and it's a tie game, and one team is just a few yards from the touchdown, which is going to win them the game. And everyone's like, the whole world is watching this game, and everyone's like, okay, this is it. And then the quarterback, who's about to get the ball and play the last play, which is probably going to win the game, starts to call the play, and he stops for a second. He takes off his helmet, and he just walks off the field. And everybody, every player in that game looks at each other and goes, what the hell just happened? Like, what's going on? The ref, the coaches, everybody in the stands, everybody watching on television, everybody looks at it and goes, what happened? It's an unplanned exit that affects all from this side. Now, what happens to that being on the other side? Unconditional love. But they will come back and have to experience things that they experienced again. Probably in different ways. Imagine this. All your reincarnations, you came back to experience the transcendence of the loss of a loved one. So you experience it as a mother. You experience it as a child. You experience it as a lost dog. You experience it as a father. You experience all the ways you can experience the loss. That's existence. You will keep coming back here in all the different angles to experience it until you understand it. So knowing that suicide is an unplanned exit of which everybody now has to adjust, it leaves a ripple. It leaves its mark, which is why we all know, those of us who come back know it's just not a good thing. It affects the entire existence, not just the family, not just the friends, the entire existence. So it's unfortunate, I think is part of the reason why I'm here, as times get dicey and people get lower and lower because their access to love just seems to disappear and people are jumping on the AI train, which has no love in it. It's now a time to get back to the understanding of what love is. And I'm here to do that. And there are other things that are going to come through that will help remind people. But yeah, suicide's not a great thing, but they're not condemned, not burning in hell. It's not the end of the world. They're just going to come back like you have millions of times.
Sorry, Rocky. So,
It's because it was in your intellect.
anyone else? It left me.
Oh, right here.
Hi. So my question is, when you see suffering in the world, then suffering that, from a human perspective, intellect perspective, we'd see as unjust or evil. What do you experience now when you see that? Like, maybe a child who's starving to death or something like that.
This will be the hardest thing to understand, and it won't make sense to a lot of you. I'll say it anyway. And this is going to ruffle feathers. We all come and we pick our experiences. We pick what we're here to experience in existence. The child that dies after 3 days of existence chose to die after 3 days of existence because the child was never a child. It was an infinite being just like you, the million existences under its belt. The sight of suffering is a message for you if you see it and it resonates within you. It's something that's chipping away at the human in you. If you just see it through the intellect and say, I just have to solve this at all costs, then you're not in the heart. The heart says, I solve what I'm supposed to solve. I love regardless. So suffering, I know, it can look evil in ways, but I also know that that benevolent being is never separated, not only from any of us, but from anything. Two war fighters point guns at each other. That being is in the gun. That being is in the bullet. That being is in the death of one soldier and not the other. The being is in the loss of that soldier. The being is in the feeling of the sorrow of the loss. We're never disconnected from anything. Suffering ends when we don't need it. So are you seeing more suffering right now? That should be a pretty good indicator of where we are. Wake up.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm wrestling because I want to ask a good question. But if I'm in my heart, I'm not going to ask a question. I want to read something that came, it was a gift back in February. And there's been experiences, which I won't go into, which have progressively revealed it to be true. On one hand, it's just a piece of poetry, I guess. I have faith that there's something that you will say in response to it, which is what you're supposed to say. Is that okay?
We'll see.
Okay. I don't know what's there inside, if heaven's gates swing open wide. When I go to sleep tonight, I'll dream what's on the other side, dissolving the illusion that our beings are so separate. A resonance we all abide, a truth which nests down deep inside. Somehow, if we all let go, we find a place we all have known, mysterious and wonder nigh, what inside us has to die.
Oh, that's a beautiful poem. I like it because a lot of it rings true. The thing inside of you that will die is your own intellect and your own ego. It will die when you die or die when you choose to have it die. I would say don't wait. right? There are plenty of people here that will find their understanding in their last breath here. Most of you will. Most of you will be shown something in your last breath. I think Steve Jobs is a famous example. Oh, wow. Wow. Right? You're shown something right at the end. He understood that it was greater than himself. In that second, the ego dies because it realized it didn't know anything. So I'm not saying this to target the ego, like go home and like take a picture of yourself and put a red X on it, like hang it on your mirror. It's just recognizing when you're stuck in your own desire for outcome versus the heart, which has no desires because the heart is unconditional. There are no conditions. I received 100% unconditional treatment on the other side. You can have it here. Don't need that. Don't need to wait. Don't need to die. You can have it when you choose to have it. That's your free will. So it's recognizing your conditions. Well, I don't like this. I like that. Okay, there's one. Oh, they're nice, but they're not. Oh, there's another one. I like to play this joke. Everybody raise your hand if you're a good person. Oh, this is a quick crowd. There's one. There's two. All right, you suckers, I got you. In order to be a good person, you have to judge somebody as bad. So who's good, right? They're only people. They're only people where they are in their understanding. I was just telling somebody at break, it's like when you wake up, you're a sunflower. You're facing the sun. You know the sun exists. You can feel it. But there are plenty of people that are just seeds under the dirt who go, there's no sun. Right? Until they sprout, they wake up a little bit and they're like, holy crap, did you realize there's sun? And you're up here going, uh-huh. You ready? Let me show you more. So if you're a sunflower and somebody else is a seed, what are you going to do? Scream at them, tell them to grow? You're just being the example, the unconditional example that says, I know, you're nuts. You want to do crazy stuff. That's okay. I love you. You're just experiencing what you need to start growing. I'll be your friend.
Thank you, first of all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I have multiple questions, so I'll be calling you later.
Okay.
A couple of just curiosities.
Okay.
Do you know when you will die out of this human body with your prescience? Number one. Number two, do you believe that psychedelics can help people wake up? And number three, you mentioned that there's sort of a timeline. So, while you're kind of saying there's no time, you're mentioning that there's this timeline for you that in 3 months,
Yep.
something will ripen, in 6 months,
Yep.
maybe 9, maybe 12, maybe 18. I think 18 was the big reveal.
Yep.
And I'm just sort of like, I don't know.
That's a good place. Pause. All right, let me answer your questions here. The first question is, do I know when I'm leaving? I have seen more than one version of my death leaving here, which is really interesting because when I see others passing, it's only one version. So to me, that just signals that it really depends on how this plays out, on how this shift plays out. That will affect something within me. The second question, psychedelics, I do believe they are useful. However, like anything useful, humans are going to human and turn it into something beyond useful. psychedelics, I did plenty in college. What I will say is it's a quick way to remove the ego and the intellect. It's kind of like your ego and your intellect are that 3-year-old, and you're like, sit down. And you get to experience without the interference of that ego. However, your definitions are still there. The other problem I see with plant medicine and things of that nature is people rely on them for their spiritual experience instead of finding them in the experience with another. So it's a solitary experience. You might be in a group, but you're concerned about your trip, your journey, your experience. Where I'm like, go meet somebody new in Walmart, right? Like you walk up to somebody in Walmart, they're like, what the hell do you want? And you're like, I just want to say you have a great jacket. Have a beautiful day, right? It's building a more genuine experience where you understand your feeling of love depends on others. As far as the timeline is, yeah, I left a lot out for obvious reasons, but I can say a lot of this has already played out. The future isn't the future. It's already happened. What's happening 18 months from now, 6 months from now, 3 months from now has already happened. It's back to the idea of you're sitting in a movie theater watching the screen of the movie that's already been recorded. Can you sit in the place where you enjoy it or judge it? So if I tell you what's going to happen has already happened, really it's more about, do you understand it and are okay and aware? Or like, this movie, I hate it. That's what this is about. This isn't about some real time where, oh, I wake up, everybody here, and it's not me, really, it's it. And you all just happen to wake up through your own free will, and then the world changes and the outcome changes. Well, sort of, but not really. It's more along the lines of what happens, happens, but now we're all in a place of understanding and love, which means what happens does not feel like it happened. So yeah, time isn't what we think it is. It's another joke I play. It's like, what time is it right now? It's right now. Okay, what time is it right now? Oh, it's right now. What time is it tomorrow? Well, it's not tomorrow yet, so it's right now. Then when you get to tomorrow, I'll ask you the question, is it tomorrow yet? And you'll say, no, it's right now. It's always right now. There's no such thing as a past or a future. There was never yesterday, it was always right now. Take it in.
I'm taking it in. I'm just, I'm also wondering about, so I, you know, reincarnation, the idea that yes, we all, not only are we connected, we also experience all of these different lives. And as we're going through that cyclic existence, right? Okay, so we have to learn X, we have to learn Y, we have to learn whatever, okay? And so we live in this realm. We live in this realm here where matter has form. It's made up of particles, and yes, certainly our ego and our understanding. Moral relativity, though, like it, kind of the message is a little bit, something in my heart is going, oh, that's really a very dangerous message, because I think that there really are ways in that awakened place that that help us help each other. So I know you're not saying that, but I also just want to kind of speak out loud to that sort of moral relativity piece.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah, I know the thing that's making you nervous, the thing that is nervous is the very thing you're here to transcend. So it's understanding that you play no part bigger than the person next to you who you don't know. Regardless of what you think or how you feel, you play no bigger role than the person across the aisle from you who's going to do exactly what you don't want to have happen. The bigger understanding is when it does happen, can you still sit in that place of love knowing it did happen? So we like to prejudge. We set our guidelines, we set our societal norms, we set our laws, we set everything up and we prejudge. And then we judge again when it happens. Versus nothing here happens that is not planned. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. No randomness at all. Not the piece of dust that flies by your face, not the nuke that goes off somewhere, not the person who dies of starvation. Nothing here is random. Zero coincidence. Zero. In addition to that, that ultimate being has its hand in all of it. Nothing separated from it. Not one circumstance where we see the death of the child is more important than the death of the dog over there. The being is in both. It's our own understanding of what we think reality should look like that creates our own suffering. I don't want that to happen. Why? Because we think we know what society is. We think we know what reality is. We know nothing. Zero. When you see the hand of God come down and take an entire village of children in some part of the world and you say, oh my God, that is the worst thing that ever happened, it's because you have rated death as bad. I know death is freedom. There wasn't anything bad in it. Nothing, zero, zilch. In fact, what's bad is not being back home. So we have it backwards here. It's why I call death birth. You're reborn into what you actually are. We hold death as something dark. We hold funerals dark, viewings dark. It should be a raging party, not just because of the way they lived and what they experienced, but because they're back. They're free. Free, free, free. No more stress, no more pain, no more suffering, just unconditional love on a scale that can't be measured. But the kids died. It's realizing that what we see here serves as part of the lesson. What we identify as good and bad is part of the lesson for our own transcendence. The more labels you carry, the more you will suffer. You will never rationalize existence. Can't be. It will make no sense to you. You'll struggle to make sense of it, and then you'll die and realize you weren't close. All you can do is experience it. In the state of love, I hope. So here's the tough question. She asked if we are here to learn. There are circumstances where you are here to learn, and I use the word learn, but I will use the word remember far more often. You are an infinite being that has lived many existences. What do you think you need to learn? You need to unlearn. You need to remember. When I feel that love coming through somebody, when they have a spiritual opening in a one-on-one with me or in a talk or something, they're not learning. You may have me for 20 minutes. Learning? They're remembering. They're remembering the feeling of love. They're remembering their true nature. You can create this as a schoolroom and say, I'm learning that. I'm learning to become a better person, and I'm learning to adjust to less judgment in others. I'm learning. But the real view is you're letting go of the things you've learned. You're remembering. Now, does it matter if you spend your whole life learning? If you actually get to the point where you feel loved? No. But there's a quicker way. It's acknowledging that you have done this enough. I'm done. I've done this enough. I'm going to remember what I am. I'm going to live my existence as if I know what I am. I'm going to acknowledge the thing that's always been in the room with me. I know you're here. You don't have to be on your knees. It can be your drinking buddy. Hey, can you give me some clarity here? I'm struggling. How's that for a prayer? Right? So we take it and we create illusion around it rather than just recognize you're wearing a set of VR goggles, and when you take your last breath, you will take them off and realize you never left the swimming pool, which everybody else is standing in going, oh, you're back. How was that trip? And you're like, oh, it's wild. Let's do it again. This is not reality. This is an illusion that you live through to experience. It's kind of like you put the goggles on and you become a child and you're walking through Times Square and it's so busy you don't know where to go, and you live this entire existence, 70 years trying to live out, New York life, and then you get to the other side and you're like, how long was I gone? And they're like, 1 second. It's not real like you think it is. So you can wake up to the illusion and play along with it. It loves to play with you. It loves when you acknowledge that it's playing in this existence with you. It just cranks up the volume. I get the most stuff when I give it the golf clap. Nice. I see that one. It just becomes a divine joke, and it actually is, this whole thing is divine comedy, yet, but we're looking through the eyes of suffering, so we don't see the love. So remember, that's your free will choice, to remember.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, everybody. Hannah, you had one more? All right, last one. Quick answer.
Sorry.
Yes and no.
To be expected. One of the things I'm struggling with is I work in a helping profession, and I think I'm missing something in that I'm almost feeling, not from you, but thinking in my internalized way that this is like a sense of apathy. Like there's not really any point for me to go show up for people and help.
All right, pause.
Okay, good.
Get out of the intellect, get into the heart.
No.
When you're into the heart space, you realize that everybody matters. Everybody's to be loved. And the fact that you have chosen a career where you can be love tells me that you need to feel love for yourself before you feel it for the others.